Well, hello, Internet.
That
Here we
music is
are.
so epic. I like.
Oh, I don't ever get bored of our intro music.
No, it is
if I
awesome.
Makes me
if
want
I
to race into battle.
if I ever have to change it, I'm gonna cry. Well, here we are. It's episode 12, guys. Who would have thought we'd get to, episode 10, let alone 12? It is absolutely incredible. And this is a very special one today, guys, because we are going to be covering some of the UK Games Expo 2021 highlights. Now, of course, we've got some obligatory articles that are going to be hitting the website soon, but this is just us kind of chatting after the show. So for anyone who wasn't familiar or hasn't caught any of the live streams, you can still watch those. They're still available to catch on across all the platforms. But of course, we are going to be chatting about some of our favorite kind of bits, and also going to be chatting with our very special guest. So we'll come to him in a moment. But just so everyone's aware, George, myself, and Mr. Sam went across to Expo 2021 this year. We turned up on the Friday. I think I could quite happily say we had a blast. And we did a very, very ambitious 20 live streams over 3 days. We met and chatted with some of the exhibitors, some of the game designers, and one of those people happened to be Martin Dane, our guest from Paperboat Games. Say hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Don't forget Dave.
I'm very well.
Don't have Dave.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
Dave.
I'm sorry, Dave, the trusty
And
mascot.
Dave, very important. He does get upset if he's ignored.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm doing really well. Just recovering. My throat finally came back today. I could finally speak again, having really been very hoarse a few days. So lots of lockets, lots of honey and lemon, and maybe something else. But yes, I'm back. I am back. I can talk. Woo! Which it's good for me, not good for everybody else.
Isn't
Yeah,
it? Not useful for a live stream.
Not being able to talk.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty useful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you could do interpretive dance. It could be fine.
And,
There we go.
Another little exciting thing. It is our debut for Sui the Word Nerd on the show. She is normally in the back, reviewing and checking articles and making sure we can all spell and all can do grammar. And it's nice to have you on the show, Sui. So welcome.
Thank you. I thought I'd brave it rather than hiding.
No, it's all good. It's exciting. It's nice to have you on the show because let's face it, you do such hard work reviewing all our trusty work regarding our reviews on the site, and you also write them yourselves. So
And you correct our horrendous spelling. So
yes,
thank you for that.
But it's a labour of love, isn't it, Sui?
Oh, I love doing it, yeah.
Some spelling's worse than others.
Well,
this guy probably.
I think it's both of us.
I think I'm the worst because apparently I put ... after things where I really
No, you
shouldn't.
put dot, not dot.
Oh, two dots.
Ooh, I put two dots instead of the 3 dots. So,
Saving
Heretic. You
yes,
heretic.
heretic.
Saving virtual ink.
Yes. Well, look, we've already got someone on the stream. Pete says hello, and he seconds about the epic battle intro music. That's amazing, Pete.
Yep,
Well, it's nice
Pete.
to have you on the show. You're one of our regular watchers, and we've got several other watchers online tonight. So if you are out there watching and you have questions for any of us about our experience at the expo, and including our guest, please do come up and say hi and ask your question as we go. But before we go into it any further with Martin, I just wanted to highlight one of the things that I kind of cropped up and found while I was at the expo. Now, it's one of the interviews that I spoke to, but I'm just going to pop and blank out everyone's faces for a moment because, well, not quite blank out everyone's faces. I'm going to show you something really kind of epic. Now, we've seen some pretty cool miniatures over the years from Games Workshop and WizKids and all sorts, but I've never seen a company that makes accessible miniatures, i.e. miniatures that represent characters and people in wheelchairs. I mean, look at
Oh,
these.
that's
I
really
hope
cool.
you can see them okay. You probably see them if you can see it at full screen, probably better like some of our viewers. But they've got D&D characters to represent anyone. I think this is wave 3, if I remember correctly. And they're stunning. They're amazing. I didn't even know this thing existed. Check those bad boys out.
Yeah, it's a really nice idea.
Yeah, I mean, I know
That's
we've
very
got
good.
quite a big D&D following on our Twitter, and I'm sure anyone rewatching this, because we can't live stream to Twitter anymore, which is a real shame. But that the detail on these are phenomenal. They're really good, and the people. I'm not going to go on these for too long because there is an actual full interview with Strata Miniatures online from the weekend. They're fantastic, so go check that out if you want to know a little bit more. But we're going to be seeing more of these guys very soon in the future because hopefully we're going to be having a live stream with them. But in the meantime, I won't detract too much. We'll go back to the main elements of the show. So, Martin, I'm glad you've recovered. But how was the
Finally.
expo? Yeah, how was the expo for you?
Well, it's the first expo I've ever been to, let alone demoed at. Usually I go to Aircon. I've been there going a few years. How was it for me? Well, people were telling me to expect it to be quieter than it was normally, but I had nothing to judge it against, and it was very much busy from my point of view. So I don't know if I would have coped if it had been even busier than it was. But I just loved the whole experience. I mean, the thing I like the most about any of these conventions is meeting people, just chatting, hobnobbing. I talk and yeah, absolutely fantastic time. I honestly can't fault it. It's going to be an experience that will stay with me absolutely forever.
And a particularly probably promptual one for you as well, because you guys are so close to the launch of your Kickstarter for your board game. You kind of used the expo as a great big play test, really, didn't you? And a launch to kind of let people know that you're coming, aren't you, with your new game?
That's exactly right. So yeah, we were there to show off Snapshot. There it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've even just a few months ago, I think we gave ourselves 3 months to get ready for Expo because we weren't going to do it because we weren't sure if we were ready to do it. I guess we were in that position where we've got this game, we've play tested it, we've rules checked it, we've gone through all those processes, but still, you have those doubts. Is there really, do people want this game just because we like it, just because our friends like it, just because the people who play tested it? But once you're going up against some of the big boys, the Asmodees of the world, you start to wonder, will anybody take any notice of little old us? So is Expo the right place for us to be? But we thought, hell, let's go for it. So we put something together in just a couple of months. We went along just to see if there was an appetite, if people wanted the game or not. We thought, well, maybe if we can get 50 sign-ups over the weekend and a few demos in, that would be great. And we got the 50 sign-ups in less than half a day. We didn't stop demoing. We had 2 tables set out. At one point, we were playing on 5 tables because we went and set some more up. So we were just blown away with the interest that was shown. And if all we wanted was to find out whether there was an appetite for the game, well, we got that answer, and it made us more confident going and doing our first Kickstarter and putting bigger numbers up as a target to fund the game, because ultimately people want to play it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If just for anyone who hasn't caught the stream, do you want to give them a very kind of brief flavour on what the game is? Because Dan hasn't heard much about it.
Yeah, I'm a complete noob to this, so yeah.
He's a noob.
That's right. I mean, you guys have played it.
Yeah,
we played it. Yes, and I'm
it.
not want to spoil it too much.
So the theme of the game is called Snapshot. In the game, you all play the part of a wildlife photographer, but you want to be the wildlife photographer of the year. So the way you're going to do that is you're going to build a portfolio of photographs of animals. There's an example, cool. And each time you photograph an animal, you're going to score points. by doing that. Your prestige is going to go higher, and that's what your points are. You're going to get collections in your portfolio that might earn you some prize tokens. You're going to get Snapshot magazine are going to give you your own secret assignment with cover photos that they want, with featured articles that they want. So you're going to be doing some set collecting. You're going to be doing some push your luck. There's some gambling in there. There's lots of rolling of dice. Lots going on. So, when we designed the game, really what we were trying to achieve is that at every point in the game, the player has got a really tough decision to make about how far they dare stretch their luck, how far they dare push their odds. We refer to it as a push your luck game, but really I think of it more as a set your own odds game. So all the way through, it's up to you, what you roll for and how difficult a roll you place on yourself, and obviously the higher the roll or the harder the roll, the more the rewards. So you have 6 dice. You're going to roll them once, but you can roll them on trying to take 1 photograph or 2 photographs or even 3 photographs. And the more photographs you go for with those dice, the harder it becomes. Did that make sense?
Yeah, I think
for those
so.
who've played it.
Without seeing it, and do you get to pick from a pool of photos, depending on what you, or is it random? What animal?
So yeah, the game is played in 3 phases. So on my turn, the first thing I'm going to do is I have this stack of photographs. So the first phase is the research phase. So I can take a photograph and I can place it into the area where the animal lives. So for this particular one, the puma, that little mountain tells me that lives in the mountains. So we have the mountains, we have the savannah, we have the shoreline and the rainforest. So he goes into the mountain and there's a stack of cards for the mountains, and I can photograph anybody who's come out into the mountains. And every time I do that, I'm going to earn myself a little tracking token, and that tracking token is very important. The reason I'm drawing cards is because I'm going to get tracking tokens for every card I draw, and I can draw as many as I want, each time getting a tracking token. And when I come to roll the dice, these are how I'm going to manipulate that dice roll to improve my chances. So once I've done that, and of course, you're already thinking, well, if I can draw as many as I want and I'm getting a reward each time, why don't I just draw all the cards and get all the rewards? Because there is jeopardy there. Each animal has a number on it. And when I draw a card, it has to be a higher number than what's already there. If it isn't, so if I have a 6 and I draw a 3, then potentially that could end my turn. Now, there are things I can do to mitigate that as well, but again, there's only so much you can do before you run out of options. So once I've done
the deck very well.
Yes.
You've played this a few times, Chris.
Yes, a few times.
Just the one.
Just the once, and that was all we needed.
So once I've got past that stage and I've said, right, I'm not going to draw any more cards, I've pushed my luck enough, I'm going to roll for some cards. So I may have these cards to roll for. So maybe I'm going to go for this card and I put a dice on it. And if I put a dice on this card, I have to put a dice on the mountains because I'm going to explore the mountains. So I've got to roll to explore the mountains and roll to take the photograph. But, some of the cards go up to 10 and I can't do that obviously on 1 dice. So I need to put 2 dice on. And I've got 6 dice to play with. So I put 1 to explore the mountains where I need to roll a 4 and 2 on the puma where I need to roll a 6. Rolling a 4 with 1 dice, probably not good odds. So I'll put a second one on the mountains. I've got 2 dice now to roll a 4 and 2 dice to roll a 6 for the puma. Now I've still got 2 dice left. So now this is where I've got to make the big decision. Do I put another one on the mountains and another one on the puma to make sure I get them? Or do I use those 2 dice to go for maybe the Tibetan macaque where I only need to roll a 3? So I can go anywhere I want on the board. I can go to the shoreline. I can go to the savannah and go for the meerkat. It's entirely up to me. What's going to influence my decision, of course, is my secret assignment. Because if the cards have got symbols on that match my secret assignment, then they're worth more points. If it's a cover photo one, I definitely want that because that's 5 points for being on the front cover of the magazine. So all the time you're in control. You're deciding where am I going to put those dice to give me the best odds. I don't want to waste dice. I don't want to put 3 dice to roll a 3. 2 dice is probably too much to roll a 3. And then finally, once I've allocated the dice, of course, I've got my tokens. So if I need to roll a 6 off 1 dice, if I put a token on there, now I only need to roll a 5. I can put 2 tokens on. Now I only need to roll a 4. So it's how I use my tokens and how I allocate my dice, which sounds like a fairly basic decision to make. But you watch people agonize over where to put the dice and where to put the tokens. Okay. So that's what I mean really by setting your own odds. You set your odds for success. Yes, sure, it's going to be a dice roll, but you could put enough tokens on that you could practically buy the card. You only need to roll a 1, and even I can roll a 1.
Yeah, but let's face it, we've all played games where fate's involved, and if you have to roll anything but a 1, you roll the 1.
Yes, the dice I'm great at rolling 1s. I mean, there's absolutely no 100% guaranteed card in, because even if I roll for the shoreline, I have to roll a 2, and when you explore the area, you can't add pips to this. I can't add a token to roll a 2. So even if I was rolling for a 2 animal and I had a pip on it and I need to roll a 1, I've still got to roll a 2 on the shoreline. So there's nothing that's 100% cert. And in fact, I did roll 3 1s in a row on the shoreline at one point. Again, I can use my tokens to do re-rolls there, but I've only got so many tokens depending on how big a chance I took when I was rigging animals out of the deck. So everything ties together.
Cool. Sounds very interesting. I like the theme as well.
Oh, yeah, the theme is lovely.
Go ahead, Siri. I keep overlapping. I'll shut up.
What's the player count then and the run time?
So it plays 1 to 4, and it's about 15 minutes per person. Typically, 3-player games about 45 minutes. So it's a good length. It flies along. Once people have got the hang of it, the turns are very quick. On to the next person. You play until somebody's got 8 photographs in their portfolio. Then everybody else gets to go, and we count up the points. And because, of course, you've got your secret assignment and nobody knows how many points you're going to get till the end, there's always that, you never really know quite how you're doing.
So you cannot underestimate your secret assignment.
Exactly. And you were having a bit of a competition at Expo, weren't you, to see who could get the highest score. What was the highest score in the end?
The highest score was 69.
Excellent.
And that was scored twice.
It certainly was. And I know someone else who scored that.
Yes, and it wasn't me.
No, it wasn't you.
I think my highest
the dancing person below us by any chance?
It might have been. Yes, he certainly. Yeah, it could be a once in a lifetime. He'll never do it again. I trust it.
No.
Trust that he'll never do it.
No,
But I did beat my own fate. I did beat my own high score though. My high score had been 51 for some time. I've been stuck on 51, but I managed to get to 57. But I still haven't betted. I haven't broken 60, and nobody yet has broken 70. So that's the next challenge. Can somebody break 70? Challenge set.
That's your challenge, George.
Yeah,
that's my challenge. I'll let you know when it happens.
Yeah, we'll let you know when we receive when we've all bought our copy, because I think we've all kind of agreed that we all kind of like the sound of this game. I certainly do. My wife does, and I know George has, and let's face it, our friend Dino Girl will probably love this too.
Yeah, it's good.
If you take a photo of dinosaurs, you could just write a blank check, and she
write a blank check.
You change the theme
we'll
slightly.
We'll have to do a dinosaur-themed one, yes.
Just for her.
Make that money.
Infinite money.
Well, we have got lizards in the game.
Oh, well,
yes.
There you go.
Yeah, there are some lizards. It's a very well thought out game, and if you'd like to know more about the game, then of course you can go onto the website and check that out, because we have got that website up on screen, paperbookgames.com. And roughly, just to give people an idea, I know you haven't got a dead cert date, but roughly when do you think you may be going to Kickstarter?
Well, we're working really hard to try and get something around October time.
Okay, well, that's lovely. Keep an eye out for that, guys, because it's definitely well worth the wait. And it's definitely worth backing. So I'd like to think that we can probably help them get out there and get it backed within the first couple of days. That's
excellent.
That's the challenge.
Now, if you do go on the website, there is a link where you can play it on Tabletopia.
Yeah, oh, nice.
Yeah, so you can go check it out.
Excellent. So I did mention it was 1 to 4 players. Obviously, you haven't played it solo. It's the kind of game that lends itself to solo play. But we do have a dedicated solo mode for the game. It's not just the normal game played on your own. We put a lot of work into developing something that we thought would be better for the solo players out there, because we play solo ourselves sometimes. So that was important to us, that the solo players could enjoy the game.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. As I play solo as well sometimes, because I don't really live with any of the gamers. So,
I'm the same.
Yeah.
My family do not understand my obsession with board games.
Oh, we've got a question.
Do you mean Monopoly?
Yeah. So how did you? It's from Simon. I think it's gone again. Can we get that back on the screen? How did you find play testing during COVID, and what did you find was the biggest challenge to work around?
So we moved the play testing to online through Tabletop Simulator and Tabletopia. In fact, the game was developed really pretty much just before COVID hit, so we never got really chance to play it physically, other than with family. It was developed very much on Tabletop Simulator and Tabletopia. That has its pros and its cons. That the big pros are it's very quick to do an update. I haven't got to print off new sheets and cut them out and laminate them to get a new set of cards. It's just upload and there you go, new set of cards. So we could make lots and lots of iterations. We all three of us have made this game together, and we all are the same opinion that a game isn't properly play tested until it's played physically, though. And in fact, it was when we played it physically that we went, oh wow, yeah, this is great. Whereas it been, we knew we had something good, but when we played it physically, and yourselves guys that have played it, the amount of banter and pushing each other into making mistakes that goes on. Go on, no, take a bigger risk, and people are easily persuaded. It's the conversations that go on during the game is the best bit, in fact, of the game, and you don't get that online particularly. It could be somebody has a go, and then the next person has to go, and it's often people that don't really know each other play testing. But when you're sat around a table with your mates or your family playing it, the amount of banter and laughter, and laughter when somebody does a bad roll, and cheers when somebody does a good roll, even if it's not you doing it. You find yourself sometimes if somebody's going for an impossible roll, and even though you're against them, you find yourself actually secretly wanting them to pull it off, because it's such a great feeling all around when somebody rolls a 5 and then a 6.
Well, exactly that, and we had a game after the game hall closed down, didn't we? Because it was
right.
It was day 1, or was it day 2? It was day 2. Day 2.
It's such a blur. Thank you for the beer, by the way.
Yeah, no, that's all right. We had a drink and we played the game, and it was exactly that. We had good bants, didn't we? It was a good laugh. And it was like we were old friends. It was just good.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the biggest kind of things for me from Expo, was being around people again, playing games, being around the Expo family.
Yeah.
That going and playing games is great fun with your mates, but when you're at the Expo, it's something else. You're making new friends, you're meeting new people.
Well, it's a very social activity, isn't it? And it's a good way of meeting new people, like you said, making new connections. So it's really good. I'm very jealous I didn't go.
I had the wrong impression of Expo, in fact, because I've always done Aircon, because I'm all about playing games. So I would go to Aircon, and there's a much smaller shopping area, but it's more about playing, and every room is just full with tables of people playing. And I thought Expo was like a big market where people were just going and playing games and buying games, but not a big area for free play. And I was wrong. The free play area was massive, and we got loads of time afterwards to do free play. And I didn't know that was part of Expo. I honestly thought it was about big companies selling us their latest games, and it's much more than that. Much more.
It is much more. And it's one of the big things that we love about it. I thought, yes, okay, we were there in a press capacity, chatting to people, but we weren't just chatting to some of the big companies. We were chatting to a lot of the little companies as well, which was really nice. Yep. And it brings me on to another very brief topic. However, we've got Simon saying thanks very much, and Strata Miniatures are there saying hi as well. Hi there. We've been on and we've shown your miniatures, guys. They look great. But it's just bringing me on to someone else. Simon, George, can you bring up the other brand clip for us? It's not even a clip, it's just the brand screenshot. So I'm ever so sorry, Martin, your face is going to be bummed out for a moment.
That's fine. Dave's not happy, but I don't mind.
So
we're censoring out Dave here. Come on.
Yeah, I know. I do apologise. So Build by Double L Games was another thing that caught our eyes when we were at the event. And while again, it's not one that's quite ready for actual play per se, because it's not actually backed or built yet. Due to some unforeseen circumstances that they had, unfortunately, their actual demo samples didn't quite make it through the borders before Expo, bless them. So the young lady in question that's designed this game ended up printing out a version and demoing that to her folly of followers that were turning up and wanting to play the game. It actually plays really well, and it's actually available on their website for a print and play. It's an economic game that she actually designed and built as part of her geography homework. And it actually was never actually handed in, but she developed the game with her dad. It's a really lovely story. We're going to have them on the show at some point, guys. But if in the meantime, if you want to go out and check Double L Games and go check out their print and play and give them some feedback, because feedback during playtest phase, and like Martin's just point out, it's really key. It's really important, and it's one of the things we heard again and again and again whenever we asked for anyone from tips for new Kickstarters is play it, and get all that feedback and find out if people find it's fun. So do help them out, because I really love the look at it. The artwork's beautiful. Go and have a check out Build, and we'll see them on the show very soon.
I think it's great that you featured that. That was one of the standouts for me as well. I thought it looked fantastic.
Yeah. No, I'm glad it wasn't just me, Martin. Thank you for pointing that out.
Sorry, Suri. I've got a question for Martin. What was your original inspiration for Snapshot?
Well, Marcos, one of the co-designers with myself, actually is a photographer for a living. So photography has been close to his heart for a long time. He's not a wildlife photographer. He photographs houses, but he is a photographer. But the way it came about, the game was the three of us met at a board game club in Wakefield, and we all had games that we designed, and we'd all been designing. I'd been designing at that point probably a year and a half, whereas the other two guys, Marcos and Richard, had been designing, since they could walk. Really, they grew up doing it, and we'd all got to the point. You get to that point where you have a game, you want to push it on, but it can be quite a lonely thing doing it on your own. So we thought, well, let's pull together, let's join together, form Paperboat Games, and push each other through to actually getting the game out. But we didn't want to go with one of the games that we'd already produced. We thought it was important for our first one to build something together. So we set ourselves a little challenge. We decided that each of us would come up with a name of a game and just a short sentence to describe what the game was going to be. We would then pass that idea on each to the next person, who would write a one-page, this is what the game is. And then the third person would take that and create a prototype. So we ended up with that process with 3 prototypes. And then we just chose the one that we preferred, and that was Snapshot. There was no doubt it was Snapshot. And the other 2 may eventually become games, who's to say, but we focused all our attention at that point on Snapshot. And then it was just about streamlining and streamlining and more streamlining. We put rules in, and it made it more complicated, and we took rules out, and we put photos in and we took photos out, because really what we wanted is something that was really slick and accessible, and I believe that's what we have.
Yeah. And have you got a favorite animal, and is it in the game?
Well, I do love a red panda. I sponsor a red panda at Chester Zoo.
That's cool.
I do like reptiles, but probably if you're going to push me for a favourite, I'm going to say the okapi. Who can tell me what an okapi is?
Ooh, an animal.
Anybody? Come on.
A mammal?
So, have you seen the animal that looks like a cross between a giraffe and a zebra? So it has a long neck and it has a stripy back. And if you look into its eyes, if you look into its eyes, it's like looking into somebody's soul.
Okay.
Beautiful creature.
Are available.
But he doesn't feature in the game. So when we were doing the game, we were very much looking for the right fit for both the categories that we were trying to do for the assignments, but also where as the number on the card went up, the animal became a rare animal. So there's quite a lot of rare animals in there. And so, we've been through that many iterations of the photographs to get the right ones to fit the theme and the scoring. That took some doing, but we got there.
So we've got another question from Simon. Was it fun or a chore to research all the animals and their habitats to build the game and animal cards? Good question.
So it was absolutely fun. I mean, who doesn't love looking at photographs of animals? Sure, there was a lot to look at, and to be fair, I didn't do it. Marcos, who is a photographer, he's the artistic one amongst us. Really, I'm more about mechanics and play testing and things like that. Richard is fantastic at breaking down the rules and finding the faults in games and what will and won't work and this bringing he can pull up a game apart and rebuild it into something better. He's fantastic at that. And then Marcus, all the artwork and everything is all his. The photographs aren't. He sourced them from many different places, and he did that. But I know he enjoyed doing it. I certainly enjoyed looking at the options that he was presenting. Animal photos. Who doesn't love animal photos? I know I do.
Exactly. Any David Attenborough fan or Blue Planet, anything like that. People, those kind of people who may not even be into board games will love this game.
This kind of nature lovers.
Nature lovers. This is going to go down extremely well with.
It reminds me of kind of Wingspan, like it's kind of just a new animal, really good. Yeah.
It's when you mentioned Wingspan. When we were play testing, one of the comments we got from somebody one time was, this is the next game for those that love Wingspan. This is the next Wingspan. I mean, it's not the next Wingspan. God grief, you could only dream of having the next Wingspan. But it was a lovely sentiment. I know where they're coming from. And we did originally have animal facts on the bottom of the cards, like with Wingspan, but it was just making the cards too busy. So one thing we're going to be looking at before we release, if it's doable, is having little QR codes on there so that people can scan it and get your facts on the phone about the animal. Because I sit there and as we're playing, I'm boring people senseless with my 101 facts about each animal. But I'm not going to be there when everybody plays it.
Yeah. So we've got got a question from Strata to Miniatures, which is nice. Thanks for engaging with the show, guys. Isn't game design the most interesting subject? How did you decide on the type of core mechanics to match the game's subject? Ooh, juicy. Do you need me to read that again?
It's a deep question, isn't it?
It is a deep question. Isn't the game design the most interesting subject?
It's like,
how did you decide on the type of core mechanics to match the game subject?
So
is that to me?
Like the push?
Yeah.
Yes, that's to you.
Sorry, I thought it was to the guys that did the miniatures, but it's from the guys that did the miniatures.
Yeah, it's from them. Yes.
Oh, dear. I'm back in the room. Okay. How did we decide on the mechanics? I think I can't quite now remember. The theme existed, and the mechanic just came. I think it's one of the things where, you try things out. And initially, for example, there was 5 dice. And with 5 dice, people were playing it too cautiously and often only ever going for one photograph. You put a 6th dice in, a little thing like that massively opens up the game. In terms of why we went with dice, I don't know. Well, I think we're all dice chuckers, that's for sure. We all enjoy games with dice. We like push your luck games. We like games of chance as well. But also, the key for us was more than anything, whether it's dice, whether it's turning cards, the key decision for us is does the person playing the game have an interesting decision to make at this point? And if it isn't an interesting decision, it's not a good game. And hopefully, again, for those of you that played it, you felt every turn of the card was an interesting decision. Whether I put that card into reserve or not was an interesting decision. How I used my dice, my tokens, was an interesting decision.
I think the mechanics seem to fit the theme quite well. I mean, I don't think a hidden traitor mechanic would fit the theme quite as good. But...
No, quite. Yeah.
Maybe they want to shoot the animals in a different way.
No, pushing the other photographers
up and throwing it away.
We're not allowed to discuss hidden traitor games. No,
not today.
Dan, you've not mentioned your favourite game yet.
I haven't. No, I haven't.
What's that?
I'm not allowed to mention.
You're not allowed to mention it.
That we'll be live streaming on Saturday as we're testing.
It's a running joke. Every single stream, I have to mention this one game once. So I've got a challenge not to mention it.
Yeah. And what is it?
What is it?
So if you want to catch up with the latest Let's Play board games,
I'll tell you. I'll message you later.
This is taking place Saturday at what time, Dan?
About 8-ish, 8 o'clock.
8 p.m. GMT time, UK time. You can play along with us.
All the toddler to sleep in time, then
yeah, and you can play along that game with us as we've got a tabletop.
As we're talking about it, I think I'm allowed to mention the game if we're talking about it this month.
I think it's fair that you get one. He gets his one.
The running joke is I'm kind of obsessed with the game called Battlestar Galactica, which is quite famous, which is a famous hidden traitor mechanic game. And,
that definitely wouldn't fit this game.
No.
Okay, I think you've already got another 2 people buying. Our lovely Dino Girls. I think it's super cute. And also, the Mr. Chris has been told he's buying it. So.
Yeah,
there we go. Yeah, I don't think that's everything anyway.
We're all going to fight over the review copy, but at this rate, do we need a review copy?
Oh, Simon, it wasn't my fault. They forced me to. Okay, it doesn't count. If I'm prompted, I'm allowed to talk about it.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. But it's nice that we've actually had lots of really good questions about this, because it is a valid topic. Let's face it, mechanics in a game are core, and if your mechanics take my money, Steph. Yeah, and I think we all pretty much said this to Martin at the weekend. Just take our money. We can't buy it yet.
We actually had somebody come up to us at one point and put £30 in our hand and say, "I want a copy," and we're like, "Well, we're not. There's none for sale." And they're like, "Yes, it is. It's £30." We're like, no, and he wouldn't take it back. Crazy,
So you weren't supposed to tell anyone that I did that.
Interestingly, on the question of getting the mechanics to fit the theme, once we had the mechanic and the theme together, we were surer of the mechanic actually than the theme. Because one thing we were concerned about, we love the theme of animals, absolutely do, but we were worried about other people and whether they would as well. We don't want people thinking, oh no, another game with cute animals in. And at one point we even talked about turning them into more caricature-y type animals and make it more cutesy, but we stuck to our guns and kind of said, no, we believe that it's a photography game. There should be photographs, not caricatures. They should be the best photographs that we could find. Exactly. And I'm glad we stuck with that theme, because we did and ah over the theme at one point, much more than we did the mechanic, because the mechanic worked really well from the off, and just got better as we made it better. But yeah, so here's your theme, here's your mechanic. Actually, are we happy with the theme? And we are, and the weekend kind of bore that out.
Yeah,
well, exactly.
As it should be. It's just stunning.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. You mentioned previously about the QR codes. I think that's a cracking idea. And Steph actually makes a point here. We are a country where David Attenborough is a national treasure. I think you made the right choice. Indeed. And I think we agreed with that. We debated that and actually discussed that quite a lot, didn't we, in that evening when we played. So we totally and utterly back you up on your decision.
Well, the QR code idea, I can't take any credit for that, actually came from one of the people who took part in the demos at the weekend. We were demoing it, and they said, it'd be nice if there was little facts on the bottom. And I said, well, we did have facts on the bottom, but we took them off because it was taken away from the photos. And they said, oh, what about if you had a little QR code? We'd not thought of it. But now somebody's mentioned it, we're like, Oh yeah, definitely. In the same way as we didn't think of doing a playmat until so many people said, "Is there a playmat?" And if there's a demand for it, we'll do it. It's as simple as that. And clearly there was. So now we've got to go and source a playmat as well. It's just a nice problem to have. People want a playmat, we will give them a playmat.
Yeah, and we've also got another question as well, actually. Would you do a follow-up game with animals from the ocean?
Like a sequel?
Well, one of the areas you can explore is the shoreline. And it has things like, dolphins. There's the dolphin. Can you see the dolphin? You can see the dolphin, yeah. So the shoreline is already in the game. So we've got the shoreline, which covers animals that live along the shore. No deep sea ones, of course. So we could do a deep sea version. We've got the savannah. So, things that live in the warm countries, the meerkats, the lizards, things like that. The mountains, we've got the lovely mountain goat, the alpine ibex. And then we've also got the rainforest, which has got some of the more exotic animals and some of the fiercest animals as well, the ones that would eat you. So already the game has quite a lot of variety of locations and things. But yes, we have been thinking about variations on it. And one of the things that we'd like to put in there, actually, as well as the fauna, the animals, is the foliage. In all those areas, there's such beautiful plant life, and we'd like to feature that in the game. And if we were to do an expansion, that's probably where we'd go. Just because we started with some of that in there, but it made the game too big. But we know that's a rich and interesting, very, very interesting idea. And some of the plant life looks like something out of a sci-fi movie. You look at it and you think, oh my gosh, what on earth is it? And you're like, it's a plant. And people are like, no, you sure it's not from Alien? It's ever so vivid, and the structures of the plants. Oh, I'm going to talk for 3 hours about plants now. If you don't stop me, somebody stop me.
We've got another crack.
We have a question.
Did you think about running a competition and putting it out to the animal photographers to get their name into the game to help get their work published and out there?
Oh, that's a great idea. And no, we didn't think of doing that, and I wish we had. That would have been lovely.
Well, there you go. You can.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't gone to press yet, have we? So there's still a chance to do that. Get your photo featured in the game.
Yeah.
As some people have suggested, I mean, we thought about going to zoos and seeing if they were interested in the game. Some people said, what about WWF, World Wildlife Fund? Would they want to sponsor it? Maybe. I mean, if anybody knows anybody on the inside there, please pass on the contact details, because it's often hard. Big institutions can be quite hard nuts to crack, and we could spend the next probably 12 months trying to arrange to see those guys to get their names on the box, and it might not come to anything. But we would like to have some kind of tie-in, even if it's only as a stretch goal. If we can earn enough money to any extra profit maybe put to the WWF. These are things that we're looking into doing as well, because we would like to give back a bit.
Yeah,
that's a nice idea.
Are you doing any stretch goals in terms of like gameplay or game components, things like that?
Well, again, our focus was so heavily on making the game right, and again, we only decided to actually demo it 2 or 3 months before we actually demoed it, that our entire focus then became, okay, we've got the game right, let's get the stand right and things like that. And we haven't done enough on enough prep for Kickstarter. That's why I'm saying October rather than now, because there's still prep to do. Nor have we done much really to build a profile on Facebook. I think most, or any of the social media, most people won't have heard of Snapshot. And this is really the start of the process of getting that name out there. But there are things so when we played the game, we had these lovely little leaf trays. Can you see them? To keep the lovely little leaf trays and we keep the tokens in those. And a lot of people said, "Oh, can we get those?" So maybe that's something we can add in as either a stretch goal or as a premium version of the game. And again, lots of dice options we can throw in. At the moment our demos just have white dice, but we did have some green fleck dice, and people are like, oh, we really like those green flecky dice. They look like they're from the rainforest. So again, that could be a stretch goal. So many things there, and like the play mats that we're now exploring to try and get add value to people where they want it. What we don't want to do is do stretch goals for stretch goals' sake. That's for sure.
And exactly. I totally agree. But also, so that is sometimes it's down to who within the industry, contacts for such things like whether you're designing miniatures or whether you're designing components that need to be 3D printed, or even down to just the dice, like you say. Sometimes you don't want to rely on one company, and you end up kind of bolstering your Kickstarter with different elements, and then you end up packing it and dispatching it out yourself, which is sometimes a job you don't want to do. So I do get that.
we don't want to, but so maybe something like the leaf bowl is a good thing as an add-on that can be almost shipped separately. I mean, if there's anybody out there watching who can make such a thing in volume, please get in touch. We will be contacting people to see who can do what, but it's a lovely thing to have. And they just proved to be very popular. I think a lot of people would like a Dave as well. So maybe a stretch goal is a little version of Dave. Who knows? Maybe just a meeple version of him.
Oh, there you go. So you have to be. Strata Miniatures make a very valid point. You have to be really careful to not overstretch, and I totally agree.
Absolutely.
I've seen tons of games out there that just overkill it. And then what you were going to be spending $24.99 on a board game, and next thing you know, you've got the deluxe version with 12 expansions because you want all the miniatures that aren't with the base game, and then for it's what would have been a £29.99 game, you end up spending a small fortune with probably near £70 because you want all those extra bits because they won't put it in the base game. So there's a fine line, isn't there?
Yeah, and sometimes it does feel just for the sake of it. But I've been on some of the Facebook groups asking people about stretch goals and whether they feel they're necessary, and people like them at the end of the day. So if we're going to do them, they want to be. I'd rather they were things that really added value to the game, like the little bowls, like the better dice with the better feel, and better quality cards rather than key rings and bottle openers and nonsense like that. So
I think Steph had a good one there. Make a meeple of Dave. I think that'd be little player piece.
Yeah, no, that's something we're already on with looking into. In fact, so
there you go.
Really, so I've got one. I've just got one for me.
Well, look, we've covered quite a lot of questions from our viewers out there. So thank you very much for answering all the questions. That's greatly appreciated, Martin. One thing I did want to quickly go around is if there's any other questions, and then secondly, some of our favorite highlights from the expo. Anyone got any further questions amongst us?
I've got one question. Have you got any for other people that are designing games, having gone through the process yourself now? Have you got any top tips for them?
Yeah, I think this is personal, but I would say I believe that I'm a better designer because I'm collaborating. I found two people who I could get along with really well that had the same goal, had the same outlook on the game design process, which is enjoy it first. If we're enjoying what we're doing, then that'll show in the game. So, we enjoy the process, so it's never hard work. But we have skills that are different, so we complement each other. Everything we do. We have an absolute power of veto on everything, so we have to all three of us agree that it's the right thing, or we don't do it, and that makes the product better as well. So there's quite a stiff, gate process to get through. If I might come up with something I think is a great idea, but if one of the other guys says no, don't like it, we simply aren't doing it. You've got to be able to take that because this is a game we're doing together, and we wanted that process where if one of us thinks it isn't right, then it isn't right. So everything's done by agreement. But I think I wouldn't want to go back to working on my own. That's one thing I would say. The other thing is, as I said, it has to be fun. And I know there was times in the process where, we've all got full-time jobs, and then we're working really hard on this. And there's times when it felt, therefore, like hard work because we felt under pressure to get things done by this time, or the rules need to be written because somebody's waiting to rule check. And we started putting, and there was a time when we actually took a good month away from this game, worked on our own games for a bit, and then came back together because we felt we weren't fresh anymore. And don't be afraid to step away, but not without having a date at which to come back. So we said, right, 1 month time, we'll pick this up again. But for 1 month, we are not going to work on it. Don't even think about working on it. Don't be tempted to work on it. Have an absolute break from it. And again, the product is better for it because, we came back with some fresh ideas for the game, and we got a better game because we came back refreshed and really keen to get on with it rather than feeling like we had to get on with it.
Awesome.
Oh,
I've just
hello, and yeah, there's another Dave.
Chris tries to distract you.
Ooh. Is it a boy Dave or a girl Dave?
It's a girl Dave, I believe.
Naughty Dave. Honestly, Dave's very interested now.
Female Dave would like to know if he wants to go for coffee.
Oh yes, he's up for coffee.
Is this some kind of matchmaking service for Dave? This is what we've become.
No, you didn't buy that specially for this broadcast, surely?
No, I believe this was got by my wife at the local wildlife reserve here in Lincoln.
All right. This Dave came from Chester Zoo.
Yep.
He's from Chester.
From a completely different hotel. Another zoo, sorry.
Animal hotel.
Another animal hotel.
Yeah, that's a nice way of thinking about it.
There you go. It's an animal hotel, yes, not a zoo. They're not kept, they're well looked after. Yes. Well, look, it's been a great show. Chris has cloned Dave. Oh dear. Yeah, the zoo where this came from, they actually specialize with the red pandas. They've been looking after them for a while. So they're very good. It's very cute.
Beautiful creatures.
So yeah, they are beautiful creatures. Well, I'm gonna go to George first. What was your favorite thing about the expo?
Oh, favourite thing about the expo? Discovering new games like Snapshot. I think is that point there were
Lovely
so
answer.
many.
Yeah.
Well, I would say there were just so many small independent places there. If anything, it was probably my biggest disappointment was that so many of the big companies, they weren't bothered. They just sent a load of Asmodee gooks to demo some of their games, and that was all that they were prepared to do. They weren't really engaged with the community, but every single person we talked to, the small ones, were just we couldn't shut you all up for starters. And I was saying, we just found so many new games that we would never have potentially seen otherwise, and I think it was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
No. And I do have one question for you. Would you ever consider like a even harder zone than the rainforest, like the Arctic or something, as a 6+ dice roll, just to add that real extreme element in?
The Antarctica.
Yeah, well, you can imagine we've been through so many iterations. We did have a 6 in there. We had a 1 in there. I think it's an interesting idea. I'm not going to say no to anything at this point, but I think for the size of the game and the way, the time it takes to play, and the weight of it and the cost that we want to try and get it to at this point, I don't think we'd be looking to put any extra into the game as it stands, other than the solo mode. But again, maybe as an expansion for those ultra players that want to go to the Antarctic, then why not? We've got some penguins in there, but we could have the Arctic ones in as opposed to the ones that we've got on the shoreline at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point, and thanks for answering that. I gotta say, because I tend to agree with George. that I did enjoy kind of engaging with everyone, because let's face it, I did nothing but talk for 3 days, and I was just like you. I nearly lost my voice, and if it hadn't been for a certain bottle of something that someone had brought with us, I would have lost my voice. But you know, one of those amazing aspects of that event is being together with real people. And just having that engagement and being able to go out and play games is what, and watching everyone do that was just a little bit humbling, you know, because let's face it, we'd all been in lockdown for so long. It was just nice to be back there doing something like that. So that's what I took from it. What about yourself, Martin?
Yes, I mean, interesting you use the word humbling, because I've been using that word a lot. You know, the weekend was incredibly humbling. There was, you know, the two things that stand out for me was just the overall quality of the games on show. I think the board game market is so healthy. All the independents and the big companies, the stuff that's coming out is such fantastic quality. I really wanted to play everything. I think in the first 10 minutes I was there, I'd signed up for 2 Kickstarters. It was just blown away with the quality across the board, not just Snapshot, but across the board. And the second thing, you know, it's the same thing I take away from any con that I go to, and it's just, like you say, meeting people, talking about the hobby that we love. You know, I always feel incredibly safe around those people, and it feels like they're my people. If going back to the animals, you know, wolves go around in packs, and that's my pack, and I feel comfortable and safe amongst them. And just like talking board games and everything else, and just laughing, and I don't, you know, and you know, talking, playing through the bad games where you can't get a break. It's just as much fun as those games where you run away with it, because you're sharing the experience. It's the whole shared experience that we've missed, haven't we? You know, we haven't had people around us, and it's, I see my voice going again from the weekend still. I tell you what, if there's one thing two things I've learned from the weekend. One is look after my voice better. And I've been getting advice actually on from voice coaches for next time of how I can better look after my voice. And the second thing is take some time off from work after doing a convention, because I was straight back to work, and I worked all week, and I work in supply chain, which is hell at the minute, and I'm so tired right now. I'm so tired. So yeah, I need to. So next time I'm taking time off. I'm not going straight back to work on the Monday morning. What was I thinking?
We did. Yeah. So I had the Monday off. And then
wasn't enough.
Yeah, it wasn't enough.
I've made so many friends through the conventions, though. People that I met at Aircon years ago, I still talk to on a weekly basis. We share, look at this new game I've got. What Kickstarter are you backing? We talk all the time, and we talk about things that aren't board game related, because over the years we got to know each other. And these are people that I'd never met before, met at a convention, just played a game with them, hit something snaps, you hit it off. And it's happened this time. You know, I was playing with some lovely people, and in fact some of the people that came and I played the game with then took a copy away and started playing it without me, just with their friends, and it's lovely that you can do something like that.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Well, look, I hate to cut this short, because we've had a great chat with you. We've talked Expo, we've talked about yourself, we've talked about a couple of other things that we've seen as well, and we like the look of. And we've filled nearly the hour. It's crazy how quickly the show goes.
Quick.
Sometimes. Yeah,
let's go fast. Yeah.
And considering I also want to say an apology to everyone that we interviewed over the Expo, because 15 minutes, guys, wasn't enough. There were many of interview where I felt, we robbed you of a bit of time, but we had a lot of people to get around and a lot of logistics to deal with when we're at the Expo. We absolutely loved chatting and talking to everyone, and this was including the people that we didn't eventually get to live stream with because we just didn't think we could fit you in. If you watching our show, or you've watched any of the videos back and you would like to have a proper chat with us about your game that you had at Expo because we didn't get around to you, do let us know, and we'll happily have you on the show like we have had Martin on the show today, because it's been an absolute pleasure. And I look forward to seeing the game when it's out live, my friend.
Lovely, thank you very much. Well, maybe we'll stream a playthrough sometime.
Yeah, more than happy to do that, because let's face it, guys, we do Let's Play board games occasionally now. And like we mentioned earlier, if you didn't catch it before, we've got a Let's Play board games on Saturday via Tabletop Simulator, and the guys are going to be playing Battlestar Galactica.
Never heard of it.
Twice. It got mentioned twice because I mentioned it and you mentioned it. So, but no, it's if you want to come along and watch that and watch us play through that on Tabletop Simulator, if you've never seen it before, then do. It's good fun. We only have one person reveal their traitor mechanic on screen, so you can play along and try and figure out those dastardly Cylons. But in the meantime, again, I'd like to thank our guest Martin for coming on the show. It's been absolutely brilliant. Do remember, guys, that we are on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We absolutely love doing the show, but of course, we are non-profit and we don't make any money out of this. So if you like the show and you want to help support the show, you can donate to the channel by going to the address, as you can see, tickering across the bottom of the screen right now. Every little bit helps maintain the channel. It even helps us buy equipment and drinks when we're away at a convention like we were at the weekend. So thank you very much. Everyone, take care, stay safe, and keep gaming.
See you, everyone.